All right, welcome to EdMed Talks. I'm Dr. Adam Dovico, an educator,
And I'm Dr. Jaclyn Dovico, a pediatrician.
and we're your husband-wife duo for all things parenting. We're back, season 7, episode 2.
Yeah.
I don't know, what number is that? Is that 62? Right, because
Seven? Wait, season
no, it's season 7, so
season.
it's
Yes.
number 62.
Yes.
I tell you, it's crazy to think that we've done so many of these,
Mhm. Yeah.
and we've had some amazing guests and great topics
Mhm.
and a lot of growth.
Yeah. And a lot of good feedback
And a
too.
lot of good feedback too. That's right. So, in this episode, we want to talk about something that I think has come up a lot as we've opened Joyful Pediatrics
Mhm.
and as we talk to parents. This seems to be a recurring topic, if you
A
will,
recurring theme
recurring theme.
in parents asking us, especially us jointly, for advice.
That's true. And so if you listen to our first episode of the season, we talked about how one of the coolest parts of opening Joyful Pediatrics has been the chance to work together with
Mhm.
parents.
Yeah.
Excuse me, from the parenting and educational side. And I think this has come up more than any other topic.
Yes. And I would say we're struggling coming up with a name for it, but I think overall we decided control, meaning kids kind of struggling for control and then the parents struggling back for control. And that leads to a lot of behavioral challenges at home, in school, and other settings.
And friction too
Yeah.
between parents and their children. And I think I could speak personally. That may have popped up a little bit as our kids were when our kids were younger.
Absolutely. Well, I wouldn't just say younger. I think even now, as they're getting older, I think there's always this struggle as kids. Everybody wants control, right? Everybody wants to be able to make their own decisions and choices, and they want to do what they want to do. Obviously, the younger kids are, the less knowledgeable they are about making the correct
When you
choices.
have to think about safety and
Absolutely.
reasonableness, like why can't I have 3 things of ice cream for dinner? And
Exactly.
so there's things that certainly parents have now adults have
Mhm.
knowledge of that kids don't.
Mhm.
Therefore, kids think they're being cheated out of their best life, and there's that issue. So as we were coming up with this episode, I think we were talking about a lot of specific cases that we've come across and some
Mhm.
of the strategies. And so that's why we did go with control, because that's kind of like the umbrella
Yeah.
that overarches all of these things that we'll talk about today.
Mm.
So I was thinking maybe we just talk about a few strategies to start off with,
Sure.
and then maybe backtrack them with some examples or ways. So I know one of my favorite things when we talk about control with kids
Mm.
is forced choice.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too.
Yeah, and forced choice involves a strategy that still allows kids to feel like they are in control, but I guess the choices that they are choosing from are really a win-win for the parent.
Yes. Yeah.
So, do you want to explain kind of how forced choice works?
So forced choice is, and this typically works better with younger kids. So we're talking about the toddler, preschool, potentially even early elementary
Yeah,
school age.
absolutely.
But I'll give you an example as a pediatrician. I don't ask a child, can I look in your ears? Because then if they say no, what am I going to do? But I want to give them the feeling that they have control, they have choice. And so I'll say, which ear do you want me to look at? Do you want me to look at your left or do you want me to look at your right? And I'll kind of tap, and then they pick an ear for me to look at. Obviously, I don't care which ear I look at first or second,
Hmm.
but it gives the child the feeling that they are in control when really I controlled the choices that were available.
Yeah. I think we do this a lot with food too.
Mhm.
And I think, as we've talked about in previous episodes, I was Jaclyn's test dummy for a lot of the uh, later food expertise that she has done as a pediatrician.
Yes.
So,
Patient number 0,
yeah,
for my patient number for my, picky eating
for picky eating,
strategies
yeah.
and
So
testing
I am
theories.
patient zero
Yeah,
of picky eating.
yeah.
And so what Jaclyn would do is like, oh, do you want Brussels sprouts or carrots tonight? And I mean, it wasn't a choice. Do you want vegetables? Because again, my answer would be no. But having that forced choice would make me choose something.
Or another strategy, especially when it comes with eating and dinner, if you've already decided what you're making, allowing the child to choose the plate that it's on, where it goes. Hey, do you want 2 or 3 pieces to start with? Always asking very small numbers. Which cup would you like your drink in? That sort of thing. So, and where this sense of control or kids wanting control comes from, they have such little control over their lives.
Yeah.
Us adults, we determine, we house them, we determine where they sleep, we determine what goes on their plate, we determine what they do during the day, where their clothes are.
When you're waking up, when you're leaving, where we go. Yeah.
We order them around a lot. And while that's correct, think about it. In your adult brain, if you had someone doing that your entire life, you wouldn't love that. And so what happens is kids then try to retaliate and they want to start control things. And so one of the best strategies as a parent is to figure out, okay, what are some things that I can let my child control and feel comfortable with? Clothes, I think, are a perfect example. If your child wants to wear their Ninja Turtle costume to the grocery store, we always pick your battles. Like, is it, I think to myself, okay, is this going to harm my child? Is this going to, is this affect their safety? Is this a decision? Is this choice going to affect them in a week from now? And often if the answer is no, maybe just let them. And, as a parent, you really have to, each choice is different, but thinking, another strategy of, allowing kids, helping them with control is figuring out, okay, if the choice they make in a week from now, is that going to change their life at all? And if the answer is generally no, then maybe that's a choice you allow them to make for that moment.
Well, and just going back to just general forced choice, if you're battling with what clothes to wear that day, just having 2 shirts, pick your shirts. And it's not going to matter to me which one they choose because they're both fine, but it's giving them some element of power.
Yeah.
Same with the vegetables. Same with, do you want to play basketball or soccer? You're giving them choices. The answers don't, whatever they choose does not impact my feeling.
Yeah.
So it gives them a little bit of power, and ultimately, hopefully, we'll avoid a battle there. So, hey, there. Well, good.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. You have a great day.
You too.
Our awesome UPS.
Yeah.
One thing about having your own business.
Package delivery. Oh, actually, I wonder if this might be, it's light. It is probably alcohol wipes or 1-inch needles.
All right. I mean, the things you get excited about in your day as an entrepreneur.
Yes. Well, I just gave some flu vaccines and I realized I have other needles that come with a syringe attached, but I don't need the syringe most of the time. So I'm down to my last individual needle top. So I'm hoping that's
all right.
News.
Well,
if it is, then perfect timing.
It's an exciting day. And I guess we'll just leave this clip in here because it's part of
it's part of being an entrepreneur.
Business owner. You're recording your podcast and the UPS man comes in.
Yes.
So, hey, part of the show. Back to control. Things we can't control.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Like,
we cannot control.
We cannot control when
the UPS driver.
No. And we're just gonna let it be.
Yeah.
Because that's what life is about. Sometimes you got to let it be.
Yeah.
So forced choice is something that I think I used a lot as a teacher as well. It's a great, if there's any teachers listening right now, great teacher strategy, especially if you're a newer teacher. Obviously parenting is what our topic is mostly about, but this can go in so many different arenas of your life. Forced choice, obviously, if your spouse does not eat vegetables, I suppose that could be a new approach as well. And actually you still do this with our boys now with like a fruit or a vegetable.
Oh yeah. Sometimes at dinner, if I'm kind of throwing stuff together, I'll ask one or the other. And
and it works. Like, I think our boys and me have become just very accustomed to it. It's just become a part of our routine. This or this.
Or even I'll ask for things what's a good example? Oh, if I make like sausage with like peppers and onions, I'll say, do you want the peppers and onions on top or on the side? I didn't
Yep.
say, do you want any? I just said, do you want them on top or on the side?
Yep.
So again, that choice, they feel as though they've got control.
Yeah. So I think one of the follow-up points to this is what happened, because I'm thinking where parents going to continue to get frustrated with this. I give them a choice
Mm.
and they say,
Neither.
no, yeah,
They say
none.
neither.
What do you do then?
So I would say at that point, say, this is where that authoritative parenting needs to come in. So,
Well, explain what that is, because
yes,
I think some people automatically just heard yell at my kid.
yes. And that's
That's
not
not
so,
what it
no,
is.
no, no, no. So you've got, and I will tell you, authoritative is kind of this balance between what's called authoritarian and permissive. So authoritarian is the yelling and screaming, or the very strict, very control. Permissive is, hey, whatever, it doesn't matter. And so authoritative is kind of that middle ground where you have clear, consistent rules. You speak them, you don't need to yell, but with
Yep.
authority, with control in your voice. But you also have a very kind of loving,
Mhm.
characteristic environment. And per the child's age, if they start asking questions as to why, you say, hey, so you have to choose a vegetable because this is what we're having for dinner, and it's important to keep your body healthy. Which would you like, this or this?
Yeah. And so you're giving, again, that same expectation. You're not letting down. I think I'm good at this one. Like this one, I think is my strength. I can, and this is the whole teacher in me.
Yeah.
I can be pretty straightforward, emotionless. That's the Tin Man in me.
Yes.
So that was my old nickname. I'm detracting here a little bit,
Yeah.
but that was my old nickname when I was a principal. Was
The Tin Man,
was Tin
yes.
Man. I think I'm a pretty friendly person.
You are very
I
friendly,
I
yes.
smile. I'm a friendly person, but when it comes to just being straight laced, when I need to say something direct,
Yeah.
I can do it pretty emotionless.
Yes.
You've gotten annoyed with me with that
A
before.
little bit, yeah.
Because I'll do that to Jaclyn sometimes, and it annoys her.
Yes.
So, but I could say things completely emotionless and just lay it right out there. And it works
Yeah.
sometimes. So what happens now? I'm just playing like worst case devil's advocate. You have said this is your choice, and your kid is still like, no. And now the tantrum starts. Where we go from here?
Oh, you want me to answer this?
Good. I mean, sure. Yeah, you could start and then I'll follow up because I have something in my head, but you could start.
So here's the thing, when kids are showing strong emotions, tantrums, I always tell parents, focus on the behavior, not the emotion behind it.
Mhm.
So, if a child's tantrum is causing them to hit somebody, if they are kicking something, if they are
Mhm.
throwing food on the ground, that is when you step in and you take control and you say, no, we do not do that. Versus if the child's if they are crying or screaming or getting upset or doing something that's just an expression of emotion
And
that's
not
not hurt
harmful.
and not harmful, that's when you let them
Yeah.
to a certain degree.
Yeah. And so letting it play out.
Yeah.
I was going to say, let it play out. And I think another piece can be the consequence piece of it.
Yeah.
So this is where you can be very clear. Again, emotionless to
Yeah.
man here. Don't coddle it. Say, if you don't eat this, you will not get this. It's kind of the if then.
Yeah.
So if you don't eat, you will not get a treat or dessert or get to play outside. So it's a consequence. But here's the thing. You're not saying you can't go outside. It's if you don't do that. So there's still an element of control that the kids can ultimately choose if they want. If they want to have that dessert or want to go outside or want to go somewhere, it's they know how to get there.
Well, and I think the big thing with food is saying, okay, that's right, you do not have to eat this, but you are not going to get another option. Like,
Right.
we don't have anything else. This is what is offered. So you can either choose to eat this or choose not to. And one thing we were discussing before is there are, while us adults, we control almost everything in a child's life. There are a few things that they ultimately have control over. And so I tell parents, you don't want to get in a direct battle over something the child has full control over. So, what do they have control over? You can't make a child eat. Even a baby, if they are not hungry, you put the bottle in the mouth, you try to breastfeed, they're not going to eat. They're going to fall asleep on you. You cannot make a child eat. What do you have control over? You have control over what is offered on the table, like what food is available.
Mhm.
You have control over when it's offered, but you don't have control over if they eat and how much. So focus on what you, as the parent, have control over. As kids start to get older, when it comes to toileting, you cannot make them go to the bathroom. And so if you start to get a power struggle over kind of a recently toilet trained, or you're working in toilet training with children, and you try to get into a power struggle over it, they will ultimately win because that is something they have full control over.
Yeah.
Having them actually sleep. They have full control over whether they sleep or not. Now you have control over the environment they're in, meaning are they in their bed? You have a certain nighttime routine, etc. But you cannot make them sleep. So as a parent, I think it's very important to focus on, all right, what are the avenues? What do I fully have control over? And then what does my child have control over? Not trying to control the things that I don't have control over, just controlling what the adult can do.
I said this in the last episode, control the controllable, right? Control the controllable.
Yes.
John Cena, John Cena.
Control the controllable.
Control the controllable.
Yes.
And I think another layer of this is there are times where it is appropriate, or if not appropriate, okay, to allow natural consequences.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think one of the best examples, and I know a lot of parents struggle with this, is with clothes. It's freezing outside, and my kid wants to wear shorts to school. I'm speaking from personal experience, by the way. This is true story,
absolutely.
nonfiction. Do I want to get into a battle with my kid over a pair of shorts?
Yeah.
For me, some parents might. I mean, that's your choice. You have the parental choice to get into that battle. For me, they're not going to.
They're not going to get frostbite.
No, they're not going to get frostbite. They're still in a classroom. The worst thing can be they're going to be cold.
Yeah. And again, that goes back to, okay, in a week, is the consequence of their choice going to make a difference?
Right.
And no, the
I
answer
mean,
is no.
even at the end of the day, is the consequence. No. So that goes to pick your battles. And instead of wanting to control things that don't necessarily have to be controlled, there is a chance to have a natural consequence. I'm trying to think of some other natural consequence pieces that parents run into a lot that you face.
I can think of one in particular. One of our boys wanted to wear Crocs with no socks and not tennis shoes to camp. And try to say, no, you're going to get blisters all over your feet. And it started.
They do a lot of sports.
So it's like, fine, your feet. Guess what they came home with all over their feet? Painful blister.
Yep.
And guess who stopped begging to wear Crocs with no socks to camp?
Yep.
So natural consequences.
But I think you do have to be careful because there are times where parental adult knowledge has to come in. An example that comes to mind is sunscreen.
Oh, yes.
Right. So how often do the kids, and I know a lot of kids do this, they just want to go.
Yeah.
Just get to the pool during the hot times, nice weather, and go. Which you could say, oh, natural consequence, get a sunburn. That's not something long term.
Yeah.
Because this is an example of in a week or a month or a year or many years later, could that repetitive behavior cause a consequence? Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. Increased risk of sun cancer. And not only that too, or skin cancer, but not only that too, but sunburns can actually give you giant painful blisters later on, get infected. That's kind of a bigger thing. Right.
So there are times, we're not saying natural consequences are for every scenario. There are times where we have to use our adult judgment best we can. We're not perfect, but the best we can to decide, is this a scenario where, yes, we have to lay out a strong line to say, you are not going to the pool until this sunscreen is on. If they battle and say, I'm not putting it on, and tantrum happens, we're not going to the pool. It's an easy decision there.
Yeah, something else too, I see a lot as a physician is parents will ask their child a question that's not actually a choice. So they'll give them the illusion of a choice. The child says no, and they'll go ahead and do it anyway. Do you want your shot today? And the kid's like, no. And the parent's like, yeah, too bad. You have to get it anyway. Do you want to hop on the exam table? No. Well, actually, you have to because I need you to lay down to examine your side.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give parents is do not ask your child a yes or no question if no is not an
No, it's not an
answer.
answer.
Don't, it's fine to have an authoritative voice and give your child a command. Say, hop up on the table for me, or come over here and sit down. Not, do you want to come over here and sit down? And then they say no, and then you make them anyway. If you are not giving your child the choice, then that's fine. There's a lot of times when we just tell our children to do things, but don't give them the illusion that it is a choice and then take that choice away. Because what that's going to do is that's going to upset the child much more than if you just said, come here and sit down.
Yeah, it's true. So avoiding the yes and no questions where no is not an option. I also think of the child, I'm thinking of my own right now, who loves to negotiate.
Oh, yeah.
And so we are often playing, he's a future lawyer, hands down. We're often having to play the negotiation game with him because he loves to just get as much as he can out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Bedtime in 15 minutes.
Mhm.
Bedtime in 20 minutes. So he'll always try to get that extra few minutes, that extra dollar, the extra five,
Yeah.
the extra treat. That always approaches something with a negotiation.
So my mindset, because when he started doing it, I was taken back a little bit. I was like, what do I do here? Like, is an extra 10 minutes that big of a deal? And then, like, is one extra dollar whatever? And so I had to like, kind of
Yeah.
stop and reflect myself on how do I approach this? I don't know about you, but I have tried to play my own little game with it a little bit, and again, not provide forced choice, but reasonable options.
Mhm.
So if he's asking for 15 extra minutes before bed, I might say, sure, as long as you're reading during those 15 minutes. So it's a negotiation that is reasonable within my boundaries, but also maybe seen as a win for him.
Or if really you don't want to negotiate and it's 15 minutes and he goes, oh, can I have 20? Be like, all right, 10 minutes it is. And then he'll
That's
go,
true.
and then he'll often go, okay, 15. And then you're
Yeah.
back to where you were.
So there's a little bit of mind games, I suppose, behind this as well. He's very good at this. So maybe some of you have kids like that who
Yeah.
just like to negotiate
Yeah.
every option as well. Look, there's no right or wrong with any of this. There's so many different types of kids. But I think what we have experienced in our opening months of Joyful Pediatrics, we've had a lot of conversations with parents about what we can consider control.
Yes.
And I think if I were to narrow it down to one adult advice piece, it would be to stay calm.
Yes.
I think reacting, having a battle of wills is not going to end well.
Yeah.
I mean, you might win. I mean,
But-
more than likely, the adult's going to come out on top, but what's the consequence of that?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say staying calm, but I would say calm, but authoritative. And
Yeah.
so, meaning having that commanding presence to your voice. You don't have to scream, you don't have to
No.
yell, but
No.
sit down, showing that you mean business.
Yeah. And I know that's tough for some parents.
Yeah.
We've had those conversations too. And I don't think they mean to be, but I think it takes practice.
Oh, it absolutely does. It takes practice and it's trying to find that line because different children are going to react in different ways. You can have, especially a more highly sensitive child, where you are a little too commanding and then they just melt down.
Yeah.
So you need to figure out, okay, I know my child. This
Yep.
is kind of the level of my voice that commands authority, so they'll follow the instruction, take me seriously, but also not get so upset thinking they're in trouble or have a meltdown. And so sometimes that takes practice, and sometimes you err on the side of too soft or too harsh,
Mhm.
but that's okay. That's what parenting is.
Yeah, it's a lot of adjustments,
Trial and
pivoting
error.
along the way. Yeah, trial and error. Uh, I had something else that I was gonna say right along the lines of staying calm. It'll come to me. But I think there's something to be said about, like you said, knowing your child,
Mhm.
but also knowing yourself
Yeah.
and knowing where your boundaries are
Mhm.
and having conversations with, whatever your if there's another parent in the house or if it's a divorce situation, having consistency there. I know divorce situations, we have an episode on that, by the way, if you're in that situation, about how sometimes kids can play the system.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And so choice and or control in those situations sometimes is handed over to the kids in an
Yep.
effort to be liked more or be
Yep.
seen as the favorable parent.
Yep.
So be aware and careful with that. You can listen to that in that previous episode. But yeah, it's a topic that we've had a lot of practice with our parents, as parenting
Mhm.
ourselves, as a pediatrician, as a
Yes.
doctor, and one that I think is going to forever be a topic for
So, yes.
parents. So, with that, I want to thank you guys for joining us on this episode.
Mhm.
We have a great season ahead. Hope you
Mhm.
keep coming back and listening and watching now. We have our YouTube channel. If you're not liked and subscribed yet to that, come join us over on our YouTube channel at Joyful Pediatrics. Follow us on social media as well. Joyful Pediatrics on Instagram and Facebook. You can
Mhm.
follow Dr. Jaclyn Dovico
Yep.
and Adam Dovico and all that good stuff. So, Jaclyn, wrap us up.
Mhm. Always remind at the end of every episode, there's no such thing as the perfect parent, but you can be the perfect parent for your child.